How many men out there think they're being coached when really they're just paying to hear a pretty woman whisper about sex? By now, through this dive, you've seen the thumbnails and the patterns. And Sarah Dawn Moore does not just make content about relationships. She sells men the fantasy of intimacy by wrapping it up in sex talk. And that's the hook for her coaching service. Scroll through Sarah's catalog, her videos online here on YouTube, and the sex hook just jumps out immediately with titles like Make Her Wet, How to Fix a Sexless Marriage, Spice Up Your Sex Life Fast. Over and over, it's the promise of sex, not stability. And of course it works because for a lot of men today, sex is not just rare, it may be gone entirely. Study after study shows that younger men are having less sex than any generation before them. Many under 30 have not had sex in the past year, and plenty have not had sex at all. Believe me, I understand that this has to be part of her knowledge as being in her business, right? Sarah knows this and she builds her entire model on it. Picture a guy who's unemployed, maybe stressed out about his rent. He hasn't been touched by a woman, hasn't touched a woman in years, and then finds a video like this of a woman like her looking straight into the camera, talking about what women crave in bed. And at that moment, it does not matter whether she's recycling or quoting Cosmo advice columns or making it all up. What matters in that moment for those 10 minutes is that he gets to hear something, anything, from a woman who looks like that. That's not coaching or educated relationship instruction, in my opinion. That's reframing loneliness and selling it back to men as help or empowerment. The real cost of programs like Sarah's is not just the $997 for online group sessions or $750 for hourly private sessions. It's the hope that drains guys. Because once you convince a man that sex talk is the same as intimacy, or masculinity for that matter, he starts mistaking thumbnails and parasocial confessions for connection. He starts thinking that he's onto something legitimate, when in reality, he's just buying the entire illusion. And Sarah plays this role perfectly. As I said before, she's good at what she does. Coach, confidant, and fantasy all rolled up into one, but always filtered through sex in one way or another. Her thumbnails do not say things like better conflict resolution or how to build stability in marriage. They say way more sex, spice up your bedroom, secrets that make her blush. And look at some of these images here. Sex is the entry point, intimacy is the upsell, and what men actually walk away with, I don't think, is more closeness. It's dependency. And again, this is not new either. Sadia Khan was exposed for the same exact stunt that many of you remember or learned about from a few weeks ago. Sexy thumbnails, promises of secrets, no real credentials, and a business model built on men's hunger for validation. Coaches like these women, they trade on the same formula. Attract desperate men, dangle the idea of sexual access, and then call it empowerment. But listen, if we strip all of that away, the lipstick, the shots of women in lingerie in the thumbnails, the winks into the camera, and the promises of more and better sex, do you really think hundreds of thousands of men would be showing up and clicking for a lecture on communication theory? Or is it more obvious that what keeps them there is the fantasy that a woman like this is speaking directly to them about desire and what women want? I don't think that any of this is about helping men build strength, confidence, or healthier relationships. It's sex ed that's exploiting the gap between what men most want and what they least get. And every time a man clicks, she wins. So when men buy into this model, they're not learning intimacy or masculinity, which we'll get to here in just a moment. And that exposes the real question, the real contradiction that we need to face. How does someone who trades almost entirely on roping men in with topics of sex teach men authority and masculinity? Because that's where we're going, that's where we're headed in part 6.